looks like it's 6:30. So at this time, can everybody rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time, may we have a roll call, please?
Okay, Chair Wrench.
Present.
Karen Malecki, Vice Chair.
Present.
Myself, Sue Lance, present. Alderwoman Day, excused. Commissioner Remington.
Here.
Commissioner Boborski.
Here.
Commissioner Stanley.
Here.
Non-voting member, ex officio Michelle Rante.
Here.
DPW, Kevin Schlater.
Here.
And Dale Borchert.
Here.
And City Engineer Glenn Morrow.
Here.
And Associate Planner Marion X.
Here.
And I see there's somebody else.
Lori Miller, the new planning manager.
Hello.
Thank you for having me.
Are you going to be at all meetings now?
It'll be based on topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fantastic. At this time, we'd like to open the floor for a citizen comment period. If there are any citizens who'd like to make a comment, please step forward.
Kind of talk up a little bit. I'm a little bit old, hard of hearing. My name is Leroy Lewandowski. I live at 8030 West Winston Way. I'm here because I see some of the disaster things that are happening, and particularly the Pleasant View and Kalis Park. Recently, I believe that building was built for $600,000. There was been an improvement of $400,000, and I think that's still going on. However, the little playground that's there for the children, the chips are all gone. We're right down to the bottom. The kids, if they fall down, are going to hurt themselves. Also, if they try to get the swing, the girls and the boys are so small, they can't reach the swings. I don't know. That has been like that for a whole year. That's why I'm kind of disgusted to see this happening. Recently, there was a contract, probably, I think, to put some additional walks in there. It also included putting in the trees. 75% of those trees are put in there crooked. I don't understand this, why we have to have that in a nice, beautiful looking park. There also is an issue whereby the paths, the bicycle paths, sidewalks, whatever you want to call them, they're about 2 inches below the sod. And if you go further back, it's raised again. And when it rains, that becomes a river. The problem there is that the sidewalk should be at least an inch or two above the surface ground, if anybody knows what is going on. And now, also, I walked down those steps that they got in there. The steps got railings, and the railings are loose. Where is our help, and who is taking care of our parks? Glenn Moore, he's the first person that should be taking care of it better. And the other day, was that Sunday, a man came in there with his boat and trailer and parked in there. There's nobody watching out for the park. There's some issues with Kalis Park, but I'm not going to get involved in that at this time. But I feel, in fact, there was a big issue, I understand, with the pickleball facility. It was ripped up for some reason. It was redone, and that was costly. I don't know who paid for that. Do you people keep a budget or something, or are we spending too much? But Glenn Moore, he's the one that you can put on to get this thing solved. I tried to even meet the gentleman over there twice at his place on 70 Ryan in 76, nobody in the building. I can't find anybody to talk to. This is the only place to see if I can talk to somebody. I wish you would all go look at some of these facilities and what they're doing. In fact, last Sunday, a gentleman had a nice, shiny black car. I don't know what it was. He was afraid to put it in the parking lot, so he parks it on the grass. There's nobody. We have a police organization that we could ask them to go and check on these things during the day. And I would like to see that Kayla's Park, now that we got a new mayor, to be just for the seniors, the citizens of Franklin, and not a regional one, because it's costing us too much money. Thank you.
Any other citizens like to make a comment? Excellent. We'll close the citizen comment period. We'll move to the approval of the minutes from the May meeting.
I have a couple of comments on the minutes. I wasn't here, but I read them. On D, unfinished business, there's a typo. It says Manager Miller suggests, I'm assuming it means lottery system. It says lotter. And then under new business A, this request by Ashley Cornell, it says no action taken. I know that it was approved for her to go to Kinwindle on these dates. So those would be my two changes that should be made.
Would anybody like to approve the minutes with those said changes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes for those two.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You guys have it. We will skip ahead to accommodate those in attendance and jump to new business. We have a request from City of Franklin resident Ben. I'm going to butcher your last name. Is it Racy?
Yeah.
Awesome. For the use of pickleball courts at newly named Vernon Bard Park for a fundraising tournament Saturday, August 26th and Sunday, August 27th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Excellent. Ben, can you tell us a little bit about what you got going on?
Yeah, so UW Whitewater is running, I think that'll be our 8th fundraiser tournament. So we raised funds for our travel team as well as our equipment replacement plan at the university. So pickleball has been growing really greatly around the community and at the collegiate level. We're trying to become like the hub for collegiate pickleball in the state of Wisconsin. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to expand just our outreach just from Whitewater itself. And we've also been doing events in Lake Geneva. So I want to bring it to my hometown of Franklin and open up the opportunity to people around here. So our tournament in March, we had 52 individuals. In our tournament that's in 2 weeks, we have about 60 that are signed up. So with hosting this over 2 days and making the brackets available for all ages and different skill levels, we want to hope to bring Franklin.
Anybody have any questions?
The only comment I have is the rec department has the courts reserved until 11:30 on that Saturday.
On that Saturday?
Saturdays, it's from 9 to 11:30.
I thought the rec league ended the week before.
August?
Mm-hmm.
No, rec goes through October. Yeah. So they have till 11:30.
Okay. So we can work around that. That's fine. Just on that Saturday, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
The other comment I have is that Mr. Racy has put forward a pavilion rental with the clerk's office and completed that permit, but it is contingent on the approval for otherwise. So,
The pavilion request for both days?
mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions?
Who's going to be entering to play? And it's going to be open play for
Anybody.
anybody.
Yep. So it would be for any community member outside or inside of Franklin, as well as we really want to get more high school and college.
But adults, you don't have to be in college or?
No.
Okay.
It can be anybody. We have different brackets for age group as well. So if we have a 55 plus bracket set up, so if people that are older than 55 want to play down, they can as well. So it's kind of their choice of what they want.
And you said it's a fundraiser, right?
Hmm.
And is it for a nonprofit or is it for profit?
UW Whitewater Pickleball Club's a nonprofit organization.
And how much are we going to have to pay to enter the contest?
So it's a $15 entry fee for the tournament itself, and then $25 per bracket you enter into. So you could enter. So there's men's doubles, women's doubles, mixed doubles, and singles. You could be entered into 3 at most, depending on what you do. So basically the minimum fee would be $40, and if you play in all the brackets, it'd be.
And you're talking just the permanent courts there at the park?
And the tennis court right next to it.
Do you have nets?
Yes. The club has 12 nets, which I know is the only 4 for that area.
Okay.
How many hours is the tournament going to run per day?
So it'll run 8 hours on Saturday and projected 4 hours on Sunday, unless if there's any rain delays that occur, then we move events to Sunday.
Anybody else have any questions? Anybody have any heartaches with the event? Yes, no?
That time works out for you, 11:30.
Yeah, because we wouldn't start the tournament until 12 or 12:30 anyways. Before that's just time to get people registered.
Excellent. We have a motion. Oh, go ahead, Mary.
I just wondered how many people to expect.
So we're expecting around minimum, probably 100 people throughout the 2 days, and at most, it's like. And we did get the permit at the park for the highest number of people it allows. Marion, how many people is that?
150 is for the pavilion.
And not everybody would be there all at once.
So would someone like to make a motion to approve?
I might just ask the city, are there any city ordinances about holding fundraisers in public park? No.
Normally, the rule is that you can get profit off of. As long as it's a fundraiser and it's going to a nonprofit, it should be okay.
So we're just making a motion for use of the pickleball court. And nobody sees any issues with citizens not being able to use Vernon Pride.
You
Think
can
so?
sign up.
Join the tournament.
Yeah.
Plus, it'll still be available early morning.
I have a question. What kind of signage?
For the event, we would have brackets that we have on like poster board, and then we might have banners, but at the moment, we don't.
That would have to be approved, like, from our planning department. So
Okay.
please come see us when.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, I'll keep you in touch. We didn't do anything yet, but when we do, I'll reach out.
Okay.
And there are no wind barriers on the front court for the tennis court.
Excellent. Someone like to make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? You guys have it. Excellent. Thank you.
Good luck.
We will now jump back to the unfinished business. Gentlemen, could we have an update on parks maintenance?
Yes. I guess we're kind of in the full swing of rentals, and all the things are quite a bit messed up. We talked about an ordinance to limit the amount of people, and I kind of was against that, but I'm kind of for it now, just because are kind of out of control at this point. They don't show any respect for parks a lot. Yeah, so anyways, on the positive side, Franklin Woods, Hill's Playground, Shelley, and a couple volunteers painted the small city and boats, and that looks brightened it up. But floor's getting bad. Spent a lot of time there patching the holes. So got to keep that in mind for the future. At Pleasant View, haven't seen my friend was going to talk about this.
So if you haven't been by, their contractor is finished. They redid the court at his expense, not ours. They went in, they tore it all out, they recompacted the gravel, they laid the asphalt. There must have been every executive from the asphalt paving company there watching them do it. It turned out to be very, very nice. Then at the end, the company that was putting up the fence had some stray gravel laying down, laid boards on top, and drove over them. So there's like little holes. I'm sure that kid's probably, if he still works there, probably had his butt smacked around a little bit. But it's just amazing that they did that. So talking with the contractor how to fix that, to think that just when they put the surface on, they can actually fill those with something that won't come apart. So that should be okay. So there's a temporary stripe down there. I've had some questions about when is it going to be coated. Don't know, but we're going to make sure it's ready to be coated. So specs say that it has to be at least 30 days. That's what they did last time, 30 days. And then the issues happen. So it'll be more than 30 days. You're going to, based on weather, based on some other things, make sure that it's the perfect conditions before they go out and resurface it with the full coating. I've also had some questions about the screen for the north end. We do have a screen to do that, but the intent was not to. The reason why is because we actually have a patio out there. We put tables out there yet? So we plan to put some picnic tables or benches or something like that for people to sit and so watch it. Because we have had, I guess, apparently there's people on both sides of the fence, no pun intended. Some people do want to watch people, some people don't, would rather have it screened off. So unless you tell us otherwise, we're going to leave the screen off so people can sit and observe, because some people do want to do that. So other than that, they refinished the sod, at least put the grass and straw down, and it looks pretty good for what they did. So again, that was no cost to the city. They came back and did that at their own expense. I'm sure that wasn't cheap.
Didn't that happen the first time where somebody on the courts went with some machine on there, and then they had to smooth that whole surface before they laid
So the first time they didn't put sheets of plywood down. They drove on it with some tracks, and so we had a bunch of tracks. This time they did use plywood,
but they didn't.
But there was some dirt underneath it. If you gravel, and it's so it's not perfect, but it will be when they're all done. So they are temporary striped. I understand people are using it every day. I've been told that people don't notice the little pock marks that are there, but again, they're very small pock marks. But regardless, those will be fixed when the final surface. Awesome. Thank you.
Just a couple more notes. Still at Pleasant View, we've been watering all the plantings that we put in last year, along with the new grass in drought to keep it. But Legend 1, we put a couple new hose bibs there that were broken and didn't have the anti-siphon function properly. Legend 1 and Legend 2, they haven't figured out the vandalism problem yet. Still working on that. And at Market Square, we repainted the gazebo and fixed the whole park up a little bit for Dave Bartles. Rented it for a wedding and texted me afterward, and he's very happy with that. So that worked well for now. Unless anyone has questions.
Well, I don't really have a question about that, but back to Pleasant View, when I was walking there at the end of the parking lot. There's a break in the tree line, and it goes back to where they have huge mounds of dirt, and there's a pond back there. Is that eventually going to be part of Pleasant View, or what is that all about? Please.
Yeah, so the development of all the new homes up off of Marquette Avenue, that development is, and they put money down to promise that will happen. That will be a trail that will connect those two neighborhoods. There's been a discussion of what to do with the extra dirt. As I understand, the developer's engineer was off a little bit on their calculations. So they're trying to figure out what to do with it. They're trying to figure out if there's a way to possibly make that so maybe even a sledding hill something, and they might donate that to the city. All been discussion, nothing's been decided. But that is a possibility. If you would be interested, we can pursue that further. But otherwise, he has to haul that dirt off somewhere else.
They hauled it from somewhere else, didn't they? Where did they come
The
from?
subdivision that's being built, when they dig out for basements and such, that's where the dirt goes. And for whatever reason, their consultant completely missed the mark on quantity.
Is there a time frame when it'll be cleaned up?
I don't have a schedule. So the question is, would you like a sledding hill, or definitely no? Because they are willing to donate that outlot to the city if we would want to park.
There's water. Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't hear.
That parcel is an outlot of the Pleasant View subdivision. So currently it's under the ownership of that subdivision, but since it's adjacent to the trail, it's the lot is remain private.
they would have to split the lot and make the pond
Yep.
part of the subdivision.
And the sledding hill would go right into the pond.
It's in a conservation. That would not be.
I haven't walked out there close enough.
I just have a couple of
Sure.
questions, or comments actually, and then a question. I played on the Pleasant View and it was nice even without the coating. I'm curious, when the coating is down, how long will the courts be out of service?
I don't know, because last time we did it, we had the whole court shut down. So, if I recall, last time they just putting the coatings down was like a 3-day process. So then I would think you'd want to allow it to for at least a day, if not a couple days. So it's probably about a week-ish. Yeah.
Also, I'm curious, we had the traveling beer garden go through Fleming. How were the restrooms and things in the park after those events happened? Was there any noticeable difference?
Printing would be a county.
Oh, is it? I thought it was City of Franklin. It's on our website. Funny. Okay. And then also, just a note, the Vernon Bragg Park, the pickleball courts, they're not shored up at the bottoms, and so all the balls are like flying out of the bottom of the fencing. So I'm just bringing it up that it was noticed on both sides facing the pathway, right?
I know that the players have been, I don't know that the city does it, the players.
Yeah, I know that we had problems with vandalism at the park, right, with them damaging the fence, the little fencing on the courts. But what I'm talking about is the fence line.
I've filled that in the past, and players have filled it in the past. I'll take a look at it.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
I know that there's some, not wire, but there's some of that green, like plastic fencing behind the bin up there. I don't know if that's the city's.
I think that's the players. I'll take a look.
So we'll jump ahead. Lori, which item were you here for?
Oh,
So we
sorry.
can get you out. No.
No, that's okay. I'm actually researching more software that we need for the city as I'm doing this. So we're talking about potentially getting permitting software for helping out our city clerks that are working so hard, especially when these reservations are coming through. And so I just wanted to quickly give you an update that I did have some contact with RevTrack and Civic Rec. We have a couple demos scheduled with staff in the coming week. I'm hoping to have more information.
Awesome. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
So you're going to meet with them both?
Yeah, it's always a good practice to go and meet with as many as possible and see what they offer, how it fits in with our current solutions for software programs, and see if we can integrate anything with our website. I know one of them that I was speaking with, RevTrack, actually got a mini tutorial on it, but I wanted to share it with the rest of our staff. But they had solutions for taking payment, how to manage reservations, how to do, especially when it comes to baseball season where it gets a little complicated and sometimes due to weather issues, you know, reservations have to shift and whatever, and we can put in rules to help them just go and put in their reservation, and staff doesn't even need to think about it. It just kind of operates on its own, and we can just double check. We can enter it in if our residents come to our front desk, or they can access it online. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Right. Thanks for doing that work. I was just visited. That include pavilion reservations?
That's our goal, is to get everything on a reservation system to streamline it, so it's a little bit more hands-off for staff, and let software do the work for us.
Did that include? That's on the city
about
website.
that.
Yeah, it's on the city website right now, and it goes. But I think probably encompassed it, or maybe if you, it's up to the city. But maybe it was
that you can get
the
dedicated.
tickets around this.
Yeah, I don't think it would include that because
Okay.
it's going to be more of a reservation type system,
Okay.
and it also for the RevTrack, it was helping us also understand the utilization rates and target investment too in some of these parks. So, but there might be other solutions we have to track of.
Remind me, is the city Kayla's fiscal agent, or is that for the
Yes,
fund?
the city has an account that we had given this extra fundraising. There's an account within the city that money from any.
Yeah, and I think it would probably be better to keep it the way that it is because it goes into the current software. So
Understandable.
And some of these programs actually integrate right into BSNA. It was one of my big questions. Is we already have some good software packages, and I don't want to make them all of a sudden obsolete because of something else that's counterproductive for what we're doing. But there's always more solutions that I can come up with.
I just wanted to put it on the radar. That's
Yeah.
all. Thanks. Earlier.
Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Since we're still at the bottom, I get bored following order. We'll stay with letter E. Draft ordinance to add municipal code section 18348D.
You can leave too, huh?
Awesome.
I'm going to pass around one printed out, so I'm going to share. You want to do it?
We've discussed this in the past, as far as, some kind of ordinance to restrict people, parties, if you will, at the pavilions. So I took it to Common Council, and the top sheet is the council action that was actually handed out, basically, and just summarized the issues that staff was seeing, and also indicated that basically you were looking for some guidance from them. I had my staff, very last page, give you or basically watch the video and basically wrote down all the comments that was made. So the mayor basically made the point that we want to make sure that we protect them nicely for people that are paying to use them. We want to keep them in good shape. As you read down through there, I think they settled in on nobody shall use it without a permit, with the understanding that when we talk to the police department is that they as I use the example, very few policemen are going to give you a ticket for going 2 miles over the speed limit. But they have some discretion, at least something in that they can use should they need to use it. So you see the summary, 120, Mayor said, I believe the simplest form is say all parties, whether it's a plane or not.
Is that on page 1 where you're reading?
The last page.
Oh, okay.
And then, so what Alderman Holfer said, like to see signage, no unauthorized decorations or food unless it's part of a permit. And then the very last one, Mayor makes reference to Alderman Barber. Basically, you're stating that to include language, so an ordinance would say all parties. And one additional signage so it's clear to anybody that does not go there, that does go there, that these are the rules that need. That's the direction from the Common Council.
So is anything posted there that tells them
We
you
have,
may be cited if you have a group here and you're not clean or something?
we have the big signs that have all the rules. How many different rules are there? It's more than the 10 commandments. So.
Okay, I'll have to look.
It's several rules.
But it doesn't include that detail.
No, it does not include that detail. I would imagine this would be a separate detail. We would have some sort of sign at the pavilion. Basically, no, if you were to follow this, no unauthorized use without a permit, and then ordinance number. Kind of might put it in the same place where people could actually show their permits. So.
Excellent. So is there anything needed from us this evening on this item?
Well, that's the recommendation. So I guess the question is, are there any other changes to what was previously handed out? I probably should include that tonight. The ordinance that we have.
And who's going to enforce it?
We have enough, I want to say, tattletales around the city who are welcome to call the police, and the police will show up if so be it, and it'll be up to them to decide whether they want to enforce it or not.
Will it be locked up? I know
So-
that was mentioned at one
Well, we have some pavilions that we just don't open. So like Pleasant View, when it's all enclosed, and Ken Wendell, it's closed, we only open it and rent it. So those we actually have a pretty good track record of keeping just people rent it, but that's when we open and close it. It's the open pavilions like Vernon Barg and so forth, and Lions Ledge across the road that people, nobody's there and they go past the party.
You wouldn't necessarily close it off. It would be available for the people.
I don't imagine we would want to. I mean, people move tables and climb up on top of Lions Ledge, and I can imagine the little chain's going to prevent them from not using the pavilion. So, again, it's not everyone sitting down that we're concerned with. It's just really the people that are leaving the big mess. So, I do appreciate, and I tried to relay the comments that this committee had, about it's not the intent to stop the family from sitting down and having a sandwich kind of thing. And it's really not the intent to scare everybody away, if you will. But those are the...
I like the one by Hofer. No authorized decorations or food unless it is part of a permit. That's apparently what's causing the problem is decorations, if it's a large amount of food. But they should have a sign that's by the pavilion that so people know.
And I guess you can discuss this. And so, is this indeed the intent? Are there any other changes to the ordinance previously done, or perhaps maybe I should just put that in next month's agenda and go final pass through on the ordinance?
Yeah, I think maybe next
That
month
would be good.
we hammer it home and get going. That's okay for everyone.
Is the police department going to have access to those calendars that the clerk's office has for who's renting the
So I
So
would,
if it gets called in, do they have to go up to the people and question whether they have a permit?
so if it's not already that way, I would suspect that we have a place, so if I rent the pavilion, I have a permit, I can put the permit, copy the permit up there so everyone passing by can. So policemen or just passerbys. We do have that. So we would, if you walk by there and someone's in there having a party, making a mess, yada, yada, and there's no permit posted up there, that would indicate that they don't have a.
And if they're not under the pavilion and outside of it on the tables, there's no issue with having a party in the park?
Public park.
Yeah.
I mean,
And they can still use the restroom facilities if they are in the park area, not under those pavilions.
yeah. So
Because I see large groups when I go to play pickleball that are gathering. It's kind of a regular group that goes to the park and utilizes it. And they're in both, you know, I'm wondering if we're talking about a group like that comes there, you know, as a regular sort of meeting place for their friends and family.
I don't think we want to limit it. The officer question. But they're in the park. Doesn't matter where they're actually the option.
as much as I appreciate that sentiment, we don't have a rental procedure place in the park. Just an open picnic table in the park. So it's hard to say you got to have a rental for the picnic table if there's no such.
Well, they still can't make a mess or they don't get their money back.
Correct.
But
Well,
Right, and that's what we talked about last time, that there's already city ordinances for vandalism and
Right.
littering and things like that. So that was the suggestion for like locking up the facility if you don't want it utilized, which I think we do pretty well with the kitchen and the bathrooms. You know, I saw on the Franklin Police Department Facebook page, they were, you know, asking for citizens to say if they had seen anybody in those bathrooms, and they had maps and things drawn out of which bathrooms they utilized. So
we had some
I know they're
surveillance
making an
camera. We
effort.
have been able to catch some. It's nasty.
So I know that they're already doing it without the ordinance. I said it last time and say it again, that making it more difficult to use city property for recreation seems counterintuitive. I understand that we don't want vandalism and we don't want, you know, large parties. I still think that it's an assumption from this document where it says that it appears obvious that people are trying to bypass this rental thing by calling. Because I plan things for scouts and I call up and say, what are your available dates? And then I go to the scout group and I say, these are the available dates. I'm not calling to make the reservation right away. I'm doing research to get that information. So I'm not sure this is 100% true that people are calling up and saying, hey, does anybody got rented Saturday? Because I'm going to have my party there Saturday. It could be a part of normal planning.
I talked to the clerk's office if that was a possibility. Said, well, maybe some might, but by and large, people, it's
Because we don't have an integrated program for renting the pavilion, that it's handwritten into a calendar. I'm just, validating it with the citizen is going to require a confrontation by a police officer. And I don't like the idea of police officers walking around the park and coming at me when I'm having a group of people enjoying the park.
So that is one reason why the clerk's office, as I understand, was initially apprehensive about having some sort of online system, because you would find those where Thursday it's open and that's where I'm going to have get together. But if you had something like this, then it's okay to put that calendar out there for everyone, because Thursday may be open, but if I show up and start making my party, then yeah, I'm in violation.
And at Kayla's playground, the pavilion, you can rent it, right? But but the public can still use it while you're renting. Well, no, the tables around the outside, but not under the pavilion.
Pavilion itself.
When they rent the pavilion
The full pavilion.
outside of the, just like any car.
And then if nobody's got it rented, tend to see families having their snacks and lunches under that pavilion because it provides shade. So we're saying we're not going to enforce it at Kayla's probably because that's making an assumption then that families and children are using the pavilion with food.
And again, that's, as I say, that's a 2 mile over the speed limit. That's not what they're. Those are not.
Well, I know that it's difficult when there's gray in laws and ordinances because then it's going to be subject to what? How are you making the distinction? By how they look, by how they're acting, by how, you know, then you're going to get us into a whole different issue.
Agreed. But the other way, you're asking the policemen to stick around after they leave to prove that they did indeed leave a mess. Then they're gone. It's a difficult situation. I'm not saying it's.
Yeah, and I'm empathetic because I like the way our parks look. They look clean. They're well taken care of. We were talking about it recently that anytime we go to use the bathroom playing pickleball, we're always so impressed with how well maintained they are. And so it's disappointing that we would have the relatively small group who are vandalizing our public restrooms at parks and smearing cake into the ground or whatever they're doing, that it would make it so that we couldn't, you know, have a food party, you know, people, like a random party that you might call and go to a city park and enjoy it without possibly falling into that gray area of the police department questioning whether you can be there or not, or being in violation of our city ordinance.
I have a thought for you. What if you ask Common Council to adopt the ordinance and revisit it in a year? We'll see how it's playing out. I mean, are people indeed complaining because they're getting hassled because they're just sitting in the shade having a sandwich? That would be an issue. Or and maybe we'll try to have the police department actually keep track of how often they actually do the citations, and we can tell about what actually put them over the threshold to issue a citation.
That'd be fair. And also the other way to say, has it helped? Has it helped in decreasing vandalism and making our parks better for all citizens of Franklin?
So 1 year revisited?
Yeah, I think that would be.
Okay. I think that'd be appropriate.
The vandalism, I would guess, is happening after hours or nobody's around.
Yeah, I mean,
Because they lock up the bathrooms.
I think vandalism
though,
is
right?
probably a separate issue from what we're trying to deal with.
Yeah.
You're still going to have vandalism. I think what we're trying to address is people making messes.
Right.
Right. People are upset on destroying things or making things ugly. That's
just
going to happen
some
regardless.
people, yeah.
Some of the vandalism has happened daylight.
Really?
Yeah, we locked the bathroom. Happened before they.
Right, but I'm saying there's probably not a lot of people at the park, and you got a group of kids or whoever's.
Do the bathrooms get locked up for vandalism? When we were at Pleasant View last week, only the family restroom was open. Men's and women's locked.
Currently, the bathrooms at Franklin Woods and the family bathroom at Pleasant View are open 24 hours a day, and then lock all the rest.
But it was over here at Vernon Bard, or it was Lions 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lion
Oh.
Legend Park and.
Oh, this one too, okay.
Excellent. We'll move on to letter D, league reservations of sports facilities.
I included in your packet again Ms. Lance's proposal from the last meeting to discuss it in detail. So, revisit that proposal. printed out again for everyone though, so.
Like pulling it up.
I think maybe there should be a larger discussion. We look for the online permitting systems that should all be kind of wrapped in together.
I think that's a good call.
Yeah, to have a meeting.
Yeah, because the software might have parameters that we wouldn't be able to meet with the suggestion, right?
Correct.
Like, is it hourly rental, hour and a half, and how we can break them down. So I think it would be a little bit of the cart in front of the horse.
We'll move to letter B, 2023 and 2024 budget. Yep.
Okay, so at your last meeting, I passed out a worksheet for everyone, and a few people provided suggestions about upcoming capital improvement plan and the upcoming citywide budget for 2024. So in your packets, you received a couple of items that have been passed out previously, and then that worksheet which captured the suggestions that were made by the group. So you should have received this, the 5-year capital program 2023 to 27 in your previous packets. So I know I've passed this out quite a few times. And then there was a worksheet that encapsulates the majority of this information. So I've tried to summarize it here for the past recommendations of the commission, and then also the past public works requests. So in 2021 and 2022, this commission produced a prioritized list of recommended projects for both the general budget and then the 5-year capital plan. It has always been the commission's major recommendation that the floor at Kayla's Playground be repaired. And so in the capital improvement plan, that is scheduled for 2024, but it was not funded for 2023. So that's reflected here. The worksheet, there are a few things that were resolved in earlier budgets that, even though we were revisiting this list, I wanted to make clear that they had been funded. So the snow trails clearing machine was not funded, but then the water tower site plan, that's in 2023. Citywide park signage, the green items, those were previous expenditures. So that actually happened, I think, in 2021. The Southwest Park happened last year. The ice rink happened last year. And then the other items you can see. So there's quite a few items in 2024. Some of them are related to the design of the Southwest Park, if that's a path that we choose to recommend. And then the tennis court repair, I know this has come up a couple of times, but the capital budget has it as being a 5-year plan. So $200,000, $285,000 in 23, and then $200,000 in each subsequent year for that maintenance. So did I? Yep. So your requests, there was a request relating to a fishing pier at Lake Ernie, wetland restoration, trail maintenance is a general request, tennis court maintenance, which, as we talked about, is a recommended part of the capital improvement plan, or was part of the adopted plan. The design of the Southwest Park, there's a discussion item here about a park director and staff putting together a parks department that is more of a dedicated parks department as opposed to a part of public works. Park permitting and marketing software, park permitting and marketing a full-time person, so there were a couple of different ideas about staffing. The citizen request for bank shots, all abilities basketball, and then this ongoing request for fitness equipment. So one of the things I wanted to note on this slide is what items are eligible for impact fees. So as a reminder, that is a dedicated fee that developers pay when they make a subdivision or a housing development here in Franklin that is then set aside for new park amenities. So things like maintenance are not eligible for those funds, but things that are related to new park developments are. So the Southwest Park design or the fitness equipment are examples of items that are eligible. And those are things we can evaluate. Sometimes it's based on the park that they're suggested for, and sometimes it's based on the amenity or the facility. But then personnel is also not part of that, et cetera. So these are your suggestions. I know there's a lot of tables here, but I just wanted to also touch on what DPW had in their 2023 adopted budget. Equipment replacement, the Town Hall Museum being painted, funding for the 116th Street Trail, St. Martin of Tours Trail. The trailhead on school property was in the 2025 capital fund, Cascade Creek Trail Design, Forest Home Trail. So again, trails, I will reiterate that they are eligible for the largest amount of impact fee match. But those were several of the projects that, so this is also a result of the recommendations relating to the Southwest Park and trail development that this commission had made previously. So you can see that that work is happening. And then there's also an item planned for 2025, which is a tree farm park. So this was a proposal to use a park, the city of Milwaukee has an arboretum tree growing facility that is located here in the city of Franklin, adjacent to county lands. And the previous mayor had proposed that that might potentially become a future park. So that project is in the capital plan at this time, so you should be aware of it. So I'm interested to hear if you have other suggestions, if there's discussion, if there are things that you'd like to add to this list or remove or revisit. Obviously the items in green having already been resolved, I wouldn't expect that they'd be part of a future plan, but for example, the Southwest Park is a large park that needs to be designed. So that's something we need to start thinking about what that's going to look like. And that is eligible for impact. So there are also a couple of planning items. So we talked about this last time. It would be appropriate to revisit impact fees. The new finance director started today. Welcome. And that is something that we're going to have to figure out how much is available in the current pot of impact fees and how soon we have to spend it down. And then the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan was funded in the planning budget for an update, but not in an adequate amount to actually accomplish what would need to be done to update the plan. So that needs. But that is a planning item that you should be aware of, but would be part of the department. That was a lot of.
Yes, sir. I would suggest this might be appropriate time since you made reference to the new finance director, but Danielle Miller, if you want to stand up and introduce.
Danielle Brown.
Okay. Sorry.
Nice to meet you guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Introduce yourself, okay.
I would like to know, I guess, maybe at the next meeting or the one after, where we're at as far as impact fees, what we have to spend immediately, what we got a couple of years on. I think that would help make some of these decisions.
Yep, and I did include the impact fee information wasn't available for this meeting, but I did include the fiscal year 22. Don't think this has been fully reconciled, but the expenditures for last year. So I can't guess at an amount based on this, but I will note that the Southwest Park purchase was last year. So that was spent down the obligation up to that point, but I don't know where that hits in terms of the 8-year timeline. So yeah, we need that updated. I think in terms of what the commission wants to recommend, some of this is about like what are the projects or items from the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan that you think should be prioritized. Do you want to reiterate recommendations? Do you want to make new ones? So we had the suggestion of the pier that's not in the comprehensive outdoor recreation plan, but it is something there's a demand for fishing facilities. And then the citizen requests. So I did put slides in here. Ms. Krusovic wasn't able to attend this evening. She had a last minute and I called her away, but she provided some pricing information for this. So the bank shots, all abilities. This is something that I think would just fall under general play equipment. And then there is a grant opportunity, which I shared information about for fitness equipment. So it being in the corporate is something that could be, the grant actually changes the structure of how the impact fees would be. Like the city has to provide a match for the impact fees. So the grant would lower the amount of overall impact fees that would be possible to use. But it's still something that's in the corp, so it would be eligible depending on the park.
Is there
Not currently. And that's another question. So it's, what would you like to see happen in 2024, and what do you want to prioritize after?
That makes sense. I think maybe at the next meeting, if you're able to have the numbers, that would help. We take a deeper look into the core and see exactly what we can and can't provide based on that. I think some of the community feedback that people would be interested in would be some type of a splash pad in this thing. I know there's been a lot of push for the dog park. I tell you, I would run away from any of those. But then when you take a look at some of that model airplane facility, the FAA just changed all their guidelines on things that can be had and can't had, so that would be something tricky. Currently, the airplane park that is in Franklin, run by the county, has some challenges. Maybe shut down or located. So I mean, there's other things in there that go from there. We only have X amount of money to spend, so I guess knowing what we have to spend and how much we have, that trails, we receive the largest percentage of money from there. I think that helps make. Yes.
I wanted to bring this in. First, a question: that $275,000. What kind of flooring is that?
275 would talking for
Kayla's playground, for what we had requested in the past, that didn't get accepted.
I believe that was the port in place.
Okay. Currently, what it is, so it would still be accessible and inclusive. So as Marion had said, I know some of you are new to the community. It had been #1 on the list in years past for replacement of Kayla's playground. Typically, a port and place service can, the lifetime of a port and place service is from 7 to 10. We will be at year 4. The seams in the playground are havoc for our DPW. Was out there facing the best that he can to end it. But I hope that I have support from that we would still keep that as number. It's a lot of use, not just for a small group of people. It is and used by many people. Our ambassador program is out there taking some load off of DPW. We're trying to get into option, which it is. Wood that we use for composite wood is going to be there for a lifetime. It's probably going to last 15 to 20 years, but unfortunately, the board needs. And I asked the commission that we look at replacement at that value because it will still keep it as inclusive and accessible. I think we keep accessible as really have that program replace the pipe, all one flooring, no seams at all. I think we get longevity out of a floor that doesn't have. hope that the commission our backs on that playground is wonderful offer.
I will tell you, myself a note here. Construction costs have gone up economically high the last couple of years. So you should probably update that price. 75. I don't. When was the last time we actually got a quote?
He never got a real quote. He gave me an offset to 25, and that was.
You should probably update that.
And also that in part they were allowing W. So that would cut costs as well.
You know, Dale mentioned it as it's a safety thing, so that would elevate the priority. I want to make sure that that park in particular, because of the all-inclusiveness of it, that it would be safe for the. I think prioritizing wise, we can use safety as one of our push up to the top.
Excellent. Well, thank you. If nobody has anything else, next meeting.
Well, I do.
Oh,
Sorry. Did we go over C?
Let's see.
Park amenities, donation policy, maps, etc.
I guess we'll look at letter C.
Thank you. I just handed at the beginning of this meeting, Commissioner Malecki has the edits from the clerk's office for the marketing pamphlet. They were really excited about it.
That's this one, remember, with all the parks and described everything.
Where's that going? Where's that?
This is gonna go online, so there's no cost to the city, babe. So it kind of explains what's at every park and what they get when they
Glenn,
rent it and
Glenn,
stuff like
are
that.
you leaving? I have a question before you leave, sorry. Go ahead and finish though
that's
first.
all right.
I just saw her walking out.
So yeah, so now that they gave me the corrections, I'll make those for the next meeting and stuff like that, and I had some changes that I had to do anyways. I wanted to take some photography, and some of the new things that are happening at the parks too, and include those in there, so.
Nice,
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
A lot of work.
Yeah, so the map is done, yay, that took a long time, so this I hope goes a little quicker.
Very nice.
Yay, good.
I was wondering, at Kayla's Franklin Woods, you know they have those wood things with the glass in front of them, or fiber glass, whatever, and they really have, nobody's really updated them with any information for a really long time. Some of them are empty. I thought maybe if they could put a parks map in there, it would be kind of nice. And I don't know if there are other things we could include in there, because like I said, some of them are empty. And it would be a nice place to put things, because people walk through the woods a lot and around that arboretum, around the swamp area there. So that's just a suggestion. And then I was wondering what's going on with the tennis courts. I hear rumors, and it's like stuff, we made a decision here, and then I hear something's changed. And the last I heard was they were only going to put 10 courts where the tennis courts are instead of 12. And I was just wondering if there was an update on that.
I'm sorry, we're going to 10
Pickleball.
courts where there's 12.
They were going to make 12 pickleball courts.
No, we're
The
gonna
way-
make 10.
We voted on 12.
12 don't fit.
See, and I didn't hear that information. And so I hear this from other people, and I'm like, stuff like that, I would think should come back to the commission so that we are aware of what's happening. So why don't they fit if one tennis court makes 4? Why don't they fit?
They don't always make 4. You gotta have 5-foot spacing for each pickleball court. So it comes out for each pickleball court. So you have to have 10-foot spacing. Maybe lay them out. It doesn't fit in there. Maybe the fence was too. It's not a hard and fast rule that one tennis court equals 4 pickleball courts. it's not.
I'm just taking it off of what we have over there today, the ones that were converted.
I don't believe that's. You're doing a tournament or something. That's not legal, or I don't know. What is it? The U.S. Football Association. They give recommendations, and I mean, 10 isn't enough. I mean.
No, we had voted on 12. That's why I'm asking. And I had heard this from somebody, and it was like, well, no, at the commission they voted on 12. And I just think that ourselves as members of this committee, we should be privy to this before I hear it from somebody else in the community. You know, I don't know who said it, and it's just like, I just think it should come back here so that we know, and the reason why. So, I mean, if that's what it has to be, that's
I don't know. That's research I did. I don't know. Going to design it, have the final say in it. But that's what they say. You have to have 5-foot side court per court. 5 + 5 is 10, and so you need 10 between.
okay. And then, are they going to be done in October, like was originally
We
planned?
haven't put them out to bid yet. We're still trying to get that going.
Is the plan to have that?
The plan is to, yes.
Okay. And then I was just wondering if perchance, I don't know, Glenn, if it would be you or who it would be, if a few of the volunteers that actually play pickleball could meet to things that we might think would be nice. Not saying that you're going to say, oh yeah, we'll do that, but as, you know, just to give some comments about it.
Okay. I mean, we can meet. I just, please don't have a idea that this is going to be wonderful pickleball courts when we're done.
Well,
We're really trying to
so just one of them would be to have a door placed in the middle. It's a beautiful area over there. There's doors on each end. Could you have one in the middle that would be accessible so people can, you know what I'm saying? Just little things.
Okay.
And you might just say,
We can talk.
go jump in a lake, you know, I'm just, whatever, you know, so. And I don't know when a good time would be, before your bid, after your bid?
Well, definitely before we get the bids finished up, because once we put out the bid, and contractors bid on it, then it's tough to change their prices after.
So after the 4th of July, would that be an okay time to just set up, meet with you with a?
Probably before. I'm going to keep pushing on my staff.
Okay, I'm going on vacation Thursday till the 26th of June. So that week?
The week of July 4th is fine.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. We'll move to the next meeting, which will be on meeting date will fall on July 10th, I believe. Fantastic. Excellent. And on July 10th, we will not talk about pickleball. So, yeah, would someone like to make a motion to adjourn? Excellent. Second? Excellent. All in favor?
Aye.
Fantastic. We'll see you guys in a month.